The army corners the infamous criminal, Solomon Grundy. The cannon artillery crushes him under the ruble, but Solomon Grundy gets back up and he fights back with everything he has. But the army was well prepared for him. It seems like the general is focused on destroying Grundy at any cost. However, Aquaman arrives riding a sea serpent and covers for Grundy and attacks the armed forces and finally takes Grundy with him to a safe place away from the docks. Taken someplace, Aquaman offers Grundy gold if he helps him with something. They enter a room and are greeted by Inza, who offers Grundy food, and later she summons Dr. Fate. Fate explains that he needs Grundy's help in a ritual they are about to perform, and Dr. Fate performs a revelation spell to learn his past. Decades ago, the man named Cyrus Gold was a wanted gangster who carried out many heists suppressing people. However, a deal with mobster associates turned sour and they killed Cyrus Gold. They cursed his body with a powerful spell which took his soul and dumped his body in a swamp filled with mystical properties. The magical forces did not sit well together, and after several decades, the undead soulless zombie man, Solomon Grundy, was born, cursed with greed, unaware of what he wanted. The spell reveals the truth to both Fate and Grundy. And now, Grundy no longer wants the gold. Instead, he wants his soul back. Grundy offers to do whatever they want if they help him reclaim it, and Fate promises to do everything in his power to find it for him. Back at the docks, Superman saves a soldier from being crushed by a tank. Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl show up and also offer their help. But after Aquaman's appearance, the commander isn't so eager on seeing the superheroes. Deciding to investigate, the Justice League heads to Atlantis. While they argue among themselves about Aquaman's priorities, they see a cruise ship being attacked by a massive sea creature of unknown species. The creature is able to harm Superman with its electricity, and even Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl get caught in its tentacles. Superman gets hold of Hawkgirl's mace and throws it to her as she is being dragged underwater. Hawkgirl breaks the teeth and delivers a killer blow to the creature, and chases it away with her mace. Reaching the kingdom of Atlantis, the Leaguers are taken to Queen Mira. Hawkgirl skips pleasantries and bombards the Queen with questions and demands to know where Aquaman is. Insulted at Hawkgirl's rudeness and mistrust of Aquaman, Mira says that he's with Dr. Fate and will speak to the League at his pleasure, ending the audience. Back on the Javelin 7, Superman and Wonder Woman criticize Hawkgirl's abruptness, but Hawkgirl points out that it got them a lead. This leads Superman to conclude that the sea creature was magical, as only that red sun radiation and kryptonite can hurt him. Heading to Fate's home, they find no doors since it's all magic. Superman can't penetrate the walls, so Hawkgirl smashes it with her mace. Finding the interior rather oddly designed, the three heroes take the stairs to infinity. Meanwhile, Dr. Fate is starting to perform a spell using the trident of Aquaman and the undead power of Solomon Grundy at the center stage of his palace. As the spell starts to take shape, the Leaguers come across the whole situation, and without thinking twice, the trio attack. As they try to stop it, Inza throws up a force field. Hawkgirl's mace is able to pierce it, knocking out Inza, and the Leaguers are able to disrupt the ceremony. Fate and Aquaman tell them to leave, but Grundy simply attacks them. Irritated by the noise, Fate sends Superman and Grundy to Egypt, while Wonder Woman and Aquaman are sent to Easter Island. Hawkgirl remains to fight Dr. Fate. In Egypt, Superman takes the battle to Solomon Grundy without any explanation, and the fight destroys many monuments around them. Crashing through statues and pyramids, they fight each other, and at the very end, Superman is able to overcome Grundy by pounding him on the ground from the sky. On the Easter Island, Aquaman and Wonder Woman are matching each other's shots and carries out a lethal duel to gain the upper hand. However, using his experience, Aquaman finally defeats Wonder Woman by dragging her underwater. The victors take their defeated opponents back to Fate's home and engage with each other as Superman emerges as the final winner over everyone. In the battle between Fate and Hawkgirl, she is able to use her mace to break through his magical attacks. Fate creates many a number of copies of himself to distract Hawkgirl, but she finds her feet and takes the attack on the magician with her powerful mace. Suddenly she recognizes the runes on the floor are Thanagarian symbols and demands answers. Superman and Wonder Woman return with the unconscious Aquaman and Grundy. Fortunately, they prevent Hawkgirl from killing Dr. Fate at the end, and as they demand answers, a tear in the empty space within the room opens, revealing a massive, hideous, cephalopodon creature. Fate finally reveals that that's what they were trying to prevent. As the creature hovers above them, Dr. Fate tries to cast a spell to banish it away. It seems like Dr. Fate is too weak to handle the powerful creature, and eventually, the creature attacks. Fortunately, Hawkgirl flies up and assists Fate, also speaking the incantation. Fate explains that his spell only bought them some time and is curious as to how Hawkgirl knew the incantation, and she explains that it's something like a prayer on Thanagar. Superman and Wonder Woman demand answers one more time, and Fate conjures up an image, while he and Aquaman explain the whole story. Thousands of years ago, Atlantis floated above the waves, ruled by sorcerer kings. In the reign of King Poseidon, the ancient world came under attack by the Old Ones, extra-dimensional beings who were preparing the way for their master, Ixtoltu. Poseidon drew upon nearly all of Earth's ambient mystical energy to create the Trident, which destroyed the already present Old Ones and sealed Ixtoltu's portal. However, it also caused Atlantis to sink beneath the waves by draining the energy that kept Atlantis above the water. Now the Old Ones are trying again, but Wonder Woman and Superman oppose this enchantment using Grundy, calling it torture, but Hawkgirl says that it's more like a sacrifice. Grundy also insists on going through with the ceremony, but Superman and Wonder Woman refuse without another way. Hawkgirl says there is, as she suggests, going to the Old One's world and kill Ixtoltu. Though incredibly risky, Grundy wholly supports the idea, and Fate agrees that it may be a more effective solution. Aquaman refuses, however, saying that if they aren't going to cast the spell, he is to be returned to Atlantis. Fate asks Inza to remain to help Fate find their way back. The Justice League, Fate, and Grundy head for Ixtoltu's realm. Superman tries to fly and search for updates, but Fate drags him back and tells them to stay together, as Earth and sky are not always parallel in this realm. In Atlantis, Aquaman appears in his throne room before Mira. The couple greet each other, then Aquaman orders his war council to be summoned when he realizes that he cannot hear the creatures of the sea, for they are gone. Outside the city, a tier opens, and a swarm of Old Ones head through. In the other realm, Superman and Wonder Woman are still shocked that anyone would worship Ixtoltu, and Hawkgirl explains them the origins of her world and the gifts the Old Ones gave them. Suddenly, the group is attacked by a group of creatures from Ixtoltu. Solomon Grundy tries his best to pound as many a number of creatures, but even he finds it hard to deal with these weird creatures. Hawkgirl saves Grundy from falling into the abyss, and Grundy is grateful. Wonder Woman, Dr. Fate pounds the creatures, and finally Superman clears them from their path. They notice a large swarm heading for a fissure, and Superman and Wonder Woman head to slow them down, aided by a spell from Fate, as he claims the creatures are headed for our world through the portal. The number of old creatures is gaining by the second, and Aquaman and his Atlantean forces are depleting by each passing second. However, Aquaman bravely leads the Atlantean navy against the Old Ones. He then calls for help from his sea creatures, and his call is answered as the giants of the sea gather to their king as they swim for the great battle. In the other realm, Hawkgirl, Fate, and Grundy come face to face with the old god Ixtoltu. He recognizes Hawkgirl as a Thanagarian and decides to speak with her, while ordering his minions to destroy Fate and Grundy. Grundy takes the creature by the head and attacks it mercilessly. Hawkgirl tries to come to his aid, but Ixtoltu drags her back to him. Hawkgirl is uninterested in talking to Ixtoltu, revealing what they paid for his favors, the souls of ancient Thanagarians. Hearing that Ixtoltu steals souls, Grundy becomes convinced that Ixtoltu has his, and manages to force his way inside Ixtoltu after pounding the minion. Elsewhere, Superman and Wonder Woman are barely able to hold their own against the Old Ones when they begin retreating. Aquaman arrives through the fissure, and the two Leaguers place an asteroid in the fissure, which Aquaman seals with the Trident's magical powers. Meanwhile, Grundy has gone on a rampage within Ixtoltu, damaging membranes and veins, injuring the monster, and allowing Hawkgirl to get free. Making his way to Icthultu's brain, Grundy comes across a dark, dinosaur-like creature guarding the brain of the old god. Grundy fearlessly attacks the monster, finally managing to destroy the beast, but he is mortally wounded. Hawkgirl races to his side, and he asks her to find his soul. Hawkgirl flies over Icthultu's brain, but the beast is confident that she won't attack, saying he has faith in her. Hawkgirl agrees and strikes her mace into the brain, killing Icthultu. Heading to Grundy, she comforts him in his dying hour, saying that his soul is waiting for him on the other side. He dies smiling, knowing that he finally gets his reward. The next morning, the Justice League, Dr. Fate, Inza, and Aquaman hold a funeral for Solomon Grundy. Hawkgirl doesn't understand why Solomon Grundy was so calm at the end, but Aquaman attributes it to faith, saying, "You're not supposed to understand it. You just have it." The gravestone simply reads, "Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday." A group of students at Louisiana University perform a sort of magic ritual to get even with their bullies. Candles are lit and the floor is decorated with a rune while a spell is chanted. A dark cloud comes out of the floor in the middle of the rune, but one of the students stumbles backwards when a menacing face appears in the cloud, breaking the circle of sand with his foot. The cloud and the face disappear, and all the candles are blown out. But far away, a grave marked Solomon Grundy begins to rumble. The students mistakenly call the ritual a rip. Two of them leave, and while the third starts clearing up, someone starts pounding on the door. Before the student can open it, a large white arm crashes through and grabs the student by the head. In Dr. Fate's tower, Shayera, Hole, and Aquaman are playing a game of chess with Amazo watching. Shayera is withdrawn and takes little interest in the game or in conversation. Aquaman tries to goad her, without success. He wins and tries to gloat, but Shayera only says, "It's just a game." Aquaman becomes infuriated with her behavior. Fate then appears to Aquaman, and he says she's trying to find her way after the Thanagarian invasion and her quitting the Justice League. Fate further explains that he allowed her to stay in order for her to decide what she will do in the future. However, Fate then excuses himself when he senses something, and Amazo challenges Aquaman to a new game. Shayera talks to Fate's wife, Inza, out in the garden on a different dimensional plane. Shayera says Aquaman thinks she's been there too long, but she honestly doesn't know where her place is, or who she really is. Inza assures her that she'll know when to leave and what to do when the time is right. At a fashion show, Vixen walks down the catwalk and winks at her guest and boyfriend, John Stewart, aka the Green Lantern. They meet backstage where Stewart tells her that their date is canceled because of Justice League business. She comes out in her costume and Stewart takes on his Green Lantern costume. They fly to the trouble spot to see a police car being thrown into the air. Lantern catches it and lowers it to safety while Vixen runs to the scene. Grundy has returned and appears stronger than ever. He easily defeats Lantern, and Vixen quickly proves herself when she manages to push Grundy back. However, he overcomes even Vixen's abilities, but just as he is about to finish her and Green Lantern off, Superman arrives. Superman tries to reason with Grundy, who seems beyond communication. He attacks Superman and gains the upper hand eventually. That is some fighting by the big old monster. Back at Dr. Fate's tower, Amazo defeats Aquaman at chess again, and they prepare for another game. Dr. Fate appears and informs them that Grundy has been raised from his grave by chaos magic and is more powerful than ever before, and shows what's going on right now. Hearing this, Shayera says that they have to help Grundy before the League kills him, but Fate is confident that's unlikely to happen. Fate then reunites Shayera with her mace as she is ready to engage, and they head out. Green Lantern and the Vixen cannot handle Solomon Grundy on their own, and after sending the lantern hurling down, Grundy continues to pound Superman, and a punch sends Superman flying into a bridge support. As the bridge begins to collapse, Aquaman rises from the ocean atop an enormous octopus that wraps its tentacles around the supports, stabilizing the bridge. But a single car goes over the edge, with a mother and her young daughter inside. Shayera swoops in and tears the roof off with her mace, then pulls the passengers free. As she sets them down up top, she sees John Stewart for the first time in months, and Superman emerges from the water. They are surprised to see the new group back on. Superman suggests that he, Fate and Amazo tackle Grundy first, but Shayera asks for a chance to reason with Grundy because she knows him. They agree, but the new Grundy is a mindless beast, and as she approaches him, he slams her into a wall. Outraged, the heroes attack one after the other. Finally, Amazo says that he will end it with his teleporting powers. He unleashes his power on Grundy but finds that the zombie can absorb it. Deciding it is too dangerous to let him absorb more, Amazo teleports several light years away to come up with a better solution. The heroes attack again and take a bad beating from the big zombie monster, until Shayera hits Grundy with her mace. She gets the upper hand and smashes him through the street to the sewers below. The heroes reconvene and Fate reminds them the only thing to do is destroy him, and Hawkgirl's mace is probably the only weapon that can do it. John offers to do it, but she insists on doing it herself. She flies down and goes through the dark sewers looking for Solomon Grundy. Soon, she finds Grundy sitting and suffering. Despite being filled with mindless rage, the zombie recognized his friend. She tells him what he needs before telling Grundy to close his eyes and raises her mace. Up top, John paces anxiously, and Superman says he's about to go in, but Hawkgirl flies out. She tells the group that it's done. A crowd has gathered, and a reporter then asks Hawkgirl about her dismissal from the Justice League. Before Shayera can answer the reporters, John steps in and states she was never dismissed from the League and is free to return whenever she likes. At hearing that, several members of the crowd shouted angrily that she is a traitor. John starts to shout them down, but Hawkgirl says she deserves their abuse. She starts to walk off, but her hand is grabbed by the mother and daughter from the bridge, who warmly thank her for saving their lives. This gives Shayera a much-needed hopeful smile, and the heroes walk away. To this day, it is still a mystery what Hawkgirl did with her mysterious friend, Solomon Grundy. I believe personally, he is alive and well somewhere in secret, hidden from everyone else, and only Hawkgirl knows about it. On second thoughts, I'm pretty sure Batman knows about it as well. He knows everything, right? Thank you for watching Second Look. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more awesome videos. Have a nice day.